So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome for joining us, everybody. I'm transmitting live from the Caribbean. I'm on vacation this week, and it coincided with our first meeting with Access User Groups. Our online coordinator is Lucy, so if you have any technical issue during the presentation, please reach out to her by chatting with her in the WebEx program up at the bottom, right there on the system. Lucy, why don't you go ahead and say hi during the chat so it shows up on the computer. So I'm really excited about this group. This is a group that we started because we would get a lot of people saying they can't join us during the normal business evening hours. It's too late. They got to go home and do dinner and take care of kids. And so Lucy and I put our heads together and said, well, let's go ahead and start a lunchtime group, just a brief 1 hour where we touch on a few topics and answer any questions regarding access, and then we can hopefully capture some more eyeballs that way. So that's the purpose of this group. It's only going to be an hour presentation, so it's you're done by 1 o'clock afternoon, Central Standard Time, and we want to basically keep the topic short and sweet. And we meet the last Tuesday of the month. So next month we will be meeting on, next month would be the 27th of October. And thanks, Lucy. All right, so let me just close these windows here so that I'm going to leave the microphone open. There's not a lot of us, so I don't think we need to mute everybody's mic. And that way you can step in if you have a quick question or something you'd like to ask me or Lucy in via chat. And so, Lucy, I close the chat window, so if anybody does bring up a question in the chat, just relay that back to me. I think most of you guys know who I am. Keith, I'm not sure if you know who I am, but here's just a quick summary of what I am. I am founder and Access MVP of AccessExperts.com, which is also, the company is called IT Impact, and also the founder of Access User Groups, along with Ben Clouthier, another Access MVP, and really happy to give back to the community. So happens that as an Access MVP, you get invited every November to Redmond, Washington, to the Microsoft headquarters. I call it visiting the mothership and recharging my batteries. And the nice thing about that is we get a chance to meet with the program managers and developers of Access. So we can ask them questions and provide them feedback on the Access program. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to see what's going to happen, the next version of Access Web Apps. At the same time, take the feedback that we've gotten from our customers throughout the year and relay back to the team. And most of the stuff we talk about there is NDA, but some things have come out in the prior years that have been interesting. Notably, the focus is on Access Web Apps. Although I'm going to give you a demo of Access 2016 today, it actually has a new feature, and that's going to be exciting. I'll be demoing that to you later on in the presentation. But for the most part, they're not putting their dollars in the Access program. They're putting their dollars in Access Web Apps. We've seen a lot of transition in the team. People who've been working with Access for many years are now gone. We got some new faces. So it'll be interesting to see what I see when I get there in November. So I hopefully to share with you guys some of that when I get back. So what I want to do is just dive in with Access 2016. There's this article here, which I'm going to post in the comments, so you guys can pull it up on your end as well. And I actually tweeted about this in blog, but I'm going to give you the link there in comments. And this is an article written by Jeff, he's a Microsoft employee. He's called Access Junkie. So if you're familiar with Jeff's work, Access Junkie, you know who I'm talking about. And really interesting article because I think it's a great way to summarize. Now originally I had reached out to the Microsoft team and say, this is when the first preview of Access Office 2016 came out and says, hey, what's new in Next 2016? And the same response I got from you guys just now, the same response I got from them, nothing. So they apparently decided to include some features last minute, and this is what I'm showing you today. All right, so one of the things that were interesting to me is the Tell Me feature, which I'll be talking to you about. Basically, it's a little light bulb here in the toolbar, and you click on it, and based on the context of where you're at, you can type in and go immediately to commands or get help on filtering, for example. So I found that feature pretty intriguing. I'm actually going to be demoing that feature in a minute here. There's also some new themes for the Access program. This is an interesting one. He says that a lot of customers have been asking for this, but basically you can export these table links now to Excel. So this can be handy. I can see some applications where you may want to export the list to Excel. Why don't they export the table in Access is beyond me. They'd be most likely just already have the table depth selection. But it'd be nice if I can just click and it will create a table in Access instead of exporting it to Excel. So basically this new option here, export to Excel, you export all the table links and then you can analyze them in Excel. And here's how it shows up, by the way, in Excel. And the templates get a modern look and feel. And so he goes on to show all the templates. There's a larger show table dialog, so when you create a query, you have a much longer table dialog. And then there's these list of features. So curiously enough, they haven't released any new features for Access Web Apps yet. But they're working on these features here. We still don't use Access Web Apps and mission critical apps because that's what we mostly do, right? We're not cheap as Access consultants, and so we don't want to spend our clients' funds on a platform that's still probably not mature enough as the Access client itself. So we're not going to be doing Access Web Apps anytime soon until we see more stabilization in the platform and more flexibility with incorporating code. But these are some features that are coming in. I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion on this in Remy when we go over there to visit the team. All right, so let's get to it. This is Access 2016. I'm actually running this on the VM on my MacBook Air, and using Windows 2010 here, as you can probably see with the interface. And one of the things that you'll see is it varies a little bit in terms of font and the look and feel of Access 2016, not much difference. But this is the Tell Me feature that we were looking at earlier. So I can click here and I can set filter, and I can toggle filter, go to advanced filter options, filter by form, for example. And so if this is something that, you're at a ribbon other than the home ribbon, right? So if I'm database, so I don't want to go to home, I can just click here and type in filter and then be done with it. Now, I'm a keyboard warrior, so it's too bad there's no keyboard shortcut. I'm sure you can press Alt key to get to it here, which I'll do now. No, that's the start menu, excuse me. There's Alt key, right? So I think that's Q, and now I'm there. So Alt Q gets me to the quick, which they named it Tell Me, which I think is a little confusing. I wish it had said a quick help or something like that, but tell me what you want to do. So one of the things that you'll notice here is that I'm going to, let me do this quick formatting here, say filter. I need to get out of this mode. Let me just exit out of this filter mode. Okay. And so one of the things is, for example, conditional formatting. Well, I want to do conditional formatting. What happens is you're not in a state where you can do conditional formatting, so if you go here, you'll see that it's grayed out. So what I'll do here is I'm going to put the design view. I'm going to select the control. I'll pick any control. And then I'll come up to the Tell Me bar, and now you'll see that conditional formatting is available. So it is smart enough to know that it applies or not to what you're trying to do. I think that's a pretty neat feature, and I can see where it might help me Because sometimes I get lost with all these ribbons, and over the years I've learned them well. And it's like I see somebody who's just now starting out with ribbons, using this Tell Me feature extensively. And for people who just don't want to bother looking for something here, one thing I was looking at for earlier, preparing for this demo, is the link table manager. So I would type in the table manager. Now it's grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out, because if I go over to external data, I can, and well, it's grayed out here too. I guess because I have no link tables, that's why. If I had a link table, then it would show up. So that's why it's not showing up. That's pretty cool. So I do go to Link Table Manager a lot, and over the years I learned under external data Link Table Manager. But somebody who's just starting out with these ribbons coming from 2003 or 2007 may have some issues with finding stuff, and so Tell Me is pretty neat. Other than that, it's really not that much different from Access 2013, excuse me. And other than that, it's just plain old Access. And, again, Microsoft has said this, they consider this technology mature technology. And so they're going to throw us some bones here from now and then with this Tell Me, for example. By the way, one of the things that I love doing is looking at the templates. Even though I don't use them in my work, I like looking at them, and I'll show you why. Because they do implement some neat things here that I've learned over the years. And take a look at this search box, right? It has the word search, right? So if I type in there, if I click on it, the word search disappears, and then I can, search for something else, right? So the way they implement that is they use the format property that can show. So let me know in the comments if you use this, but I'm going to show you this search box here. Let me move this over so you can see the search box. And if you click on there, you see the other format. They use this pretty unique approach where they would do the @ symbol, semicolon, black, search, right? So if I wanted to change it to something else, enter product code, for example, and then go here to preview it. Well, it looks like it didn't take it for some reason. You just love it when the computer makes you look bad. Let me try that one more time. I thought it would take it by default, but I guess not. Enter product code. There you go. So I'm going to save that. And I don't know if you know this, but you can press F5 to launch a form and form view. So I'm in the Mac here, but you can press F5 and do it. You can't press the F function to plain design view, unfortunately. It doesn't work the other way around. There you go. So now you have enter product code. So you could, in theory, use that formatting for a whole data entry screen, right? What to do. Sometimes it's just not enough to have a label, right? Or if you don't want to put a label here like you would over here, you can just type in that search. I think it looks pretty neat. I think it's a good tool for anyone who's programming regularly in Access. If you use something like that, let me know in the comments, by the way, if you ever used that before. But I always encourage people to look at these templates because you can see how Microsoft does it, Now, some of the earlier templates in the Access library, they're really bad. I mean, they have, for example, names in their tables, field names in the tables with spaces. I mean, they have spaces in the table names, spaces in the field names. I mean, it was just poor design. It wasn't, they didn't put too much thought. And we talked to the team about that, and they've done a better job being able to improve upon these templates because obviously if you have a newbie in Access who downloads the templates and sees spaces in their table names, spaces in their fields, they're going to think, oh, okay, that's cool. Let me start doing the same thing, and it's not okay. If anybody who's done any sort of programming in Access knows tables with field names, tables and fields with spaces just makes it a lot more harder to code because now you got to surround everything with brackets. So it really is important that you look at these templates and take the good with them and leave the bad behind. So again, when you get a chance, I put the link there in the comments regarding regarding this new features in Access 2016. Some other things I wanted to bring to you guys is there's some free ebooks that you can download from Microsoft Virtual Academy that really are going to help you a lot, especially when it comes to Microsoft Azure and some other free books here, including Windows 10 for IT Professional, Microsoft Azure Machine Learning. It's a fascinating topic for me. Azure Automation, lots of stuff on Azure that I think would help you guys. So I'm going to give you this link. It's MicrosoftVirtualAcademy.com/ebooks. So let me hold on a second here while I copy this over to the chat window. And there you go. So now you've got a list of books, free books that you can download when you just can't sleep at night. If you find yourself in some insomnia and with your eyes wide open, please open Fundamentals of Azure and go over the extreme architecture they've implemented there. You know, one of the things that we do hosting for Microsoft Access Database in the cloud. So basically what we have is a server farm, single server farm, enterprise edition, that we host our clients' data. And somebody the other day was considering hosting with us. And it's not that expensive. It's less than $500 a year per database, usually, unless you have some custom stuff going. But somebody says, well, what's the difference between that and Azure? Well, one of the problems you have with Azure is you can't run jobs in Azure. So, say, for example, you run a SQL Server script every night that changes the status of proposals from open to close after 30 days, because, you know, many companies, they have a limit to their proposals. They say, okay, this proposal is valid for 30 days. Well, you know, a client the other day asked us, let's go ahead and create a script so that every night it checks to see all the proposals that have been 31 days or older and sets them to close. Well, you can't run a job like that in Azure. You would have to set up a task on a local machine somewhere off the grid, and not off the grid, but out of Azure, and or create you can also create a virtual machine in Azure and run those jobs in there, but it's not running off the actual database in Azure. So that's one significant issue with that, running scripts, running jobs, which a lot of people do, where it's part of the Access database. It's just a fact of life. At some point, you're going to need to run some jobs on a regular basis. So this was one of the links I wanted to send you. And, one of the things that I find when developing with Access, and by the way, I was in Tennessee 2 weeks ago. I wanted to relay my experience there. It was with a company that does powder. They'll take, for example, several grams of powder, and then they compress them 35 tons, and it turns into a bushing. And I found the whole operation interesting. It's a multi-million-dollar operation where they have the presses, and then the product of the presses goes through a annealing process through an oven, and then it goes into a washing process, and then finally goes through a sizing. They actually have a machine that sizes the parts and kicks up the ones that are out of spec, right? So they gave me the factory tour, and it was impressive because, it's powder all over the place. And, I expected powder all over the place, and that was not the case. And that really does tell me about the mindset of the client, right? When I get to see a lot of factories in this job. I travel to the U.S. a lot, visiting clients. And every time I start with a client, I always ask them for a factory tour. And you probably wonder why, because I want to see how clean their factory is, how organized. That reflects also how they're organized and clean on the back-end operation of the office, right? It doesn't necessarily translate that way, but in general it does. It tells you the mindset of management, right? So I always ask for a factory tour, and, in spite of the fact that they deal a lot with powder metal, The only areas that were not too clean were around the immediate crust where they were doing the operation. But they run that whole factory, a multi-million-dollar business, on an old 2003 database that's not split into front end, back end. That the data is not stored in SQL Server, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And so one of the things that they were telling me is, we love this database, but we constantly get the crash. It crashes on us, and it's slow. And of course it's slow because you got 30 people going in there and using the system, right? And 30 people hitting that small file network. It's not split back and forth. So yeah, I did restart the recording. Those. Thanks for reminding me. So one of the things then is that we updated their database to SQL Server, and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna be here for a week. I installed SQL Server Express 2014, and or 2016, I think, the latest version. And then we upsized our database using SQL Server Migration Assistant, and I said, this is going to be a slam dunk. I'll upgrade the SQL Server. I'll create a front end. I'll use code to update their systems on all these desktops. There's like 30 desktops to update. But what I found was that they had some code in the system to go around the limitations of working with one file on the network. So they would copy a lot of temp tables over to temp data. So they have like 20 databases, right? One for human resources, another one for ordering, another one for production scheduling, another one for material ordering. I mean, it's just a pain because they realized they couldn't run the whole thing off of one file. They just create multiple files. And so even if I updated their database to SQL Server, they have code in there to do a make table, right? Import data from another database or make table. And it totally ruined my plan of being able to make significant progress that week. And it turns out they wanted me to come out again another week later in October. But, sometimes when people ask us to upsize our database, it's just not a slam dunk. You just don't know what you're going to find. So I try to give them an estimate. So, usually it takes like a week and a half, worst case. But sometimes it can take weeks because of all the baggage that they're carrying from prior versions and trying to get over limitations and access. Just a real shame that that's the way it is. All right, so a couple other things is I'm pretty much done a little bit early here, but I wanted to show you a couple things. First of all, please join me on LinkedIn. I have a group there called Microsoft Access to the Server, and we talk a lot about specific topics in Access, and I promote the meetings on there for our members, but please join us there. It's a closed group, so you're going to have to apply for membership. Just say that you heard me on this chat, and that makes it easier for me to approve you. The other aspect of this, if you do appreciate the work we do with AccessUserGroups, please tweet about it. This is my Twitter account. You can reach out to me at jsoto22. So please follow me on Twitter, and I'll follow you back. And the other aspect of this is we have a lot of meetings throughout the month. Let me bring it up. Microsoft Access here. We have a lot of meetings through the month. Topics and languages. And so, for example, we find people from Europe who will be at the lunchtime meeting, and we have people from the U.S. joining the guys in Europe who run around 2 in the afternoon local, but it's 8 o'clock in Europe. So we see a lot of people going back and forth from the continents because the time differences are so big. They don't mind doing it. I mean, I do have people who are in Spain, for example. It's 3 in the morning there, and they're joining us on Access Latin America. So that's a pretty interesting dynamic there. I find that Europeans go to bed late, but I didn't realize it was that late. So great number of groups, so please join us throughout the month on the group. So I'm going to do is open it up. If you guys have any questions for me regarding Access 2016 Access in general, comments or feedback. Any questions you may have? One answer live. thanks a lot, guys, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Again, our next meeting is October 27th. We'll probably have a little longer meeting there, but this was short and sweet. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know. If you have any feedback for us in the comments, you can leave that in the comments. Other than that, this has been Juan over here at the Caribbean saying so long and see you next month.